Emmy fans, you know him as one of the Fab Five from Netflix's Queer Eye, and now he is an Emmy nominee, first time thanks to his hit web series Game of Thrones, the Game of Thrones recap. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby. With me is the star and executive producer of Game of Thrones, Jonathan Van Ness. Thanks so much for joining me, Jonathan.
Thanks for having me.
I love this series, and it was, I heard, born out of, actual conversations that you had cutting hair. So can you just walk us through, what was the start, the genesis of this project?
I'm so sorry. There it goes. The screen link just went to, how you said it would go. Will you be there,
Oh?
The screen didn't go black until, you stopped talking. Is that the...
Oh, yeah. I'm fine.
No, okay, perfect. I was yeah, no, that's totally true. And I also just feel the need to share this cute little tiny baby cat that just right next to me. Yeah, so I was working at a salon at the time in Venice, California, and I was doing my longtime friend Erin Gibson's hair, and next to me, my business partner Monique and her client started talking about Game of Thrones, and I kind of went into this little trance. I like to joke that it was a fugue state of recapping the show. And when I came out of it, Aaron's that is a series. We got to do this for Funny or Die. And that was how it started. And that's really how my whole entertainment career kind of got its first experience.
Yeah. And looking back now, the series has really gotten more and more stars have gotten on the show. I feel like it's a show people want to be on. You have Kumail Nanjiani and Tiffany Haddish this season. So is it hard to throw yourself in with a new person every week, just kind of diving in, not knowing them?
It's definitely, I think, really helped me become a better performer and not only a better performer and a better comedian, but I think it's also doing hair for the last 13 years of my life. I think it kind of helped me get used to getting familiar and comfortable with new people and really learning how to bring the best out of them and work with different people just so regularly. So it's really just been an honor to get to work with so many comedians and actors and actresses who have just really helped me learn how to be better. It's been such a fun work learn on the job experience.
Yeah. And the turnaround for making an episode is really kind of insane because the show comes out on Sunday, but the Game of Thrones comes out on Sunday, and then you have to recap it, and it goes up Tuesday. And so what is your timeline like in terms of when Game of Thrones hits, what you have to prepare, and then the filming process?
Sure. The first, I think 6 seasons of Game of Thrones we did, we would shoot on Sunday night and then it would come out on Monday evening. And then for this last season, obviously, it's difficult to convince people to want to come in and spend 6 hours of their Sunday night with our gorgeous crew, which, we are so fun. It's a hard sell. So we were this last season, we were maybe if we shoot on Monday mornings, that will help us be able to get really just the most fun people that we can get for this last season of our baby show. And I think that worked. So this season we did a Monday shoot. So it was we would watch together on Sunday night, and Erin and I and our other co-executive producer and our 2 writers who we love so much, and then our editor, Joan Ford, who's incredible, would get together and watch the show together, and then we would come together and write the script. And then Monday morning at 7, you'd go and it's hair and makeup. Let's start by 8, and then we would wrap by 11, and then we would usually have our first pass of the show done by about 2, and we would be up by midnight. So it was always really we didn't want filming on Monday morning to cause too much of a lag time. Mm-hmm. So we were really, really so proud of how we were able to do that, really the whole series, but especially this last season.
Yeah. And one of my favorite aspects of the whole series is the nicknames that are brought out with the characters. I think Cersei is this one, her new one, the Evil No Volume, Carol Brady was my
the top of the list for me.
That was mine. That one that one was all me. That name was all me.
I was going to ask you, do you come up, is that genuinely how you keep track of the characters? Do you come up with the names, or is it collaborative?
It is, well, I mean, all of Game of Thrones has been so collaborative, but there are certain names that are definitely ones that were like mine. And like came to my mind, like Christina Aguilera, like that was, and I never could part. But we have changed so many people's different names. We've had a working like name Bible because we have just changed so many over the years. And yeah, but a lot of them are party, like the Evil Party City group was, I think, like that was like Mark Rennie, one of our writer Mark Rennie's like more hilarious ones. So there's been, I mean, every one of our writers and producers has made like contributions that we would not have been able to do Game of Thrones without.
There's obviously a script, but I think part of it feels so organic and natural and conversational in that way. So do you have room to sort of ad-lib on set when you're making those?
Absolutely. I think, well, the first season of Game of Thrones was really like, because I was like a 26-year-old hairdresser newbie. I'd never been on camera before. So like, I was terrified of lines, and the idea of doing a script for me as like a performer at that time was like, I can't do lines. I can't remember how I got here. Like I'm scared of lines. And so then over the years, it's like learning about editing and learning about producing and learning how content creation works and learning how, like the scripting was essential to make a tight, hilarious product. Like we didn't have the time to cut down all that footage of improvisation. So we had to kind of incorporate more of a scripted aspect to the show. But I think because the show was so founded on an improvised feeling, that never like left us. And I think that's one thing about Erin as a director that is so great, is she always gives our person that's in the chair the room to be able to make their lines more themselves. Like if anything doesn't feel right, or could be made more unique or more individual or better suited for the comedian that we're working with, like we are always in a collaborative space for that, which I think is so empowering, because none of us are too precious about like, can you please get, that, so I think that having that sort of like really fun, collaborative, open space to create, I think is also why the product has always been so fresh and easily evolved. So yeah, that part's great. And we totally have room to play. I think in my mind, I think we usually try to get the script like clean a couple times, and then we just will go. And we also will kind of improvise within the script, because sometimes, honey, when that spirit takes you, you just gotta go. You just gotta go. And we definitely do.
And I'm curious too, because along the way, this Game of Thrones has gotten bigger, but then along the way you get this job with Queer Eye, and you're much more of a household name now. So do you think this Game of Thrones has sort of prepared you for that in a way, for that Queer Eye experience?
I do, but I also think that like, I can't even believe that I'm having the experiences that I'm having now. Like it's really just so surreal, and it's such an honor. But I do think that like having, I talk about that a little bit in my book, which is coming out September 24th. But yeah, I think that in retrospect, I really think that having Game of Thrones happen over the course of, we've been doing Game of Thrones for like since 2013. So it's been 6 years. And it, spanned like all my late 20s and my early 30s. And obviously like Game of Thrones had that year off. So it's just been such an incredibly transformative time of my life, where I've learned so much about myself, including that I wanted to be an entertainer, which is something that I have always just kind of been an entertainer, but I didn't realize that I wanted to or could be one as a career. So it really, Game of Thrones has prepared me so much, but I also every single day am so amazed by all of the cool stuff that I get to do. honey, but also a little overwhelmed sometimes, but it's we'll do the best we can. So it's really, it's just been an incredible ride, and I'm just been so thankful for all of it.
Well, I wanted to, speaking of overwhelmed and speaking of crazy turnaround, I feel like every time I open Netflix or I get an email from Netflix saying another episode or another season of Queer Eye is ready. So are you constantly filming those at the same time as Game of Thrones? Is that always
Yes.
been the reality for the past?
Yeah, for season 1 and 2 of Queer Eye, I would fly back to LA every weekend. So I was basically like, I remember right before I booked Queer Eye, I was like, how am I gonna? I want to work more. I want to be on camera more. I have something to say. I just don't know where to say it. And then like I booked Queer Eye, and like a month later, I was on camera like 7 days a week. I was like, oh my gosh, Queen, be careful what you wish for, because like all of a sudden, like all my dreams came true. And it was, that part was really interesting because I filmed Queer Eye for 4 months from like May to September of 2017. And then it didn't come out until February of 2018. And it was, very much like it wasn't publicly announced yet. So it was an interesting experience to like go from, being on camera that much, and then going back to my normal salon and being in the salon all the time. But within that time, I flew back and forth to do Game of Thrones. And then when we were shooting in Kansas City, we didn't have Queer Eye we didn't have Game of Thrones because that was when Game of Thrones was on its little baby break. And then in this last season of Game of Thrones, I wasn't shooting Queer Eye yet, but I was working a lot for press for season 3 of Queer Eye. And then also I've been in Japan and Australia, and I have definitely been working a lot, but it's just been like, do you remember that show, like Real Life not Real Life, the one about like the behind the scenes on MTV where they would like follow all the fun musicians? I feel like that's my life. I'm Christina Aguilera and like a black car going to like interviews and like this thing, except for if like Christina Aguilera like couldn't sing and was on unscripted TV and was obsessed with figure skating and had a lot of cats.
Well, I think that's a good place to be. I would say that's a great place to be.
Not free at all. I love it.
Well, one thing I love about both of your shows is that it has it's a place with very positive queer representation. One is obviously very comedic for Game of Thrones, and the other is very naturalistic. But I think we are entering a space where there's other Emmy-nominated shows as well, like Pose and Drag Race. And so, do you feel like you're part of a sort of shift towards a place where we have really positive queer representation on TV?
Yeah. First of all, I'm obsessed with Pose, and I love Euphoria, which I am sure will be nominated for Gorgeous Emmys next year. If it's not, because I feel like it missed the cutoff. It's not the
cutoff.
Fireworks, but I love Euphoria, and I do think that there's more queer representation that's happening. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but whenever I get asked this question, I always just feel like for the amount of LGBTQ plus positive stories that are going on in the world now, there are so many that deserve to be told, and they're like stories that aren't being told because they aren't being told by people that have like a certain amount of like followers. That's how things get greenlit now. It's like no one wanted to hear what I had to say before like Queer Eye, but after Game of Thrones, like I had lots of things that I wanted to say that because of getting curious and Game of Thrones, like I will have an opportunity to say now. And if not for the opportunities of Queer Eye, I wouldn't have this platform that I do have now. But there's so many other incredible people like me that have something to say that is valid and moves a conversation forward and is important. And that when they go to try to get a meeting with someone, in LA or New York, it's like they're looking at metrics and they're thinking about it from this money way. And I think that creativity really suffers because of the way that businesses are so reticent to take chances, especially on queer artists that don't have a certain amount of following. So I do think that we have more representation, which is important, but I really feel that Hollywood could do so much better.
Yeah.
Well, it's great at least that you are a part of that, and it's.
I'm honored to be part of it. Don't get me wrong, but I want so many more creators and artists to be able to have this platform too.
Here.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're finding new ways to have your voice out there, like with the book you mentioned, because Game of Thrones is over now because it's one of these shows that's tied to Game of Thrones. There's nothing else to recap. Has it been difficult saying goodbye to the series?
It's sad to say goodbye. I mean, I think it's also more sad just to say goodbye to like the friends on the crew that I've made and like the conversations with like other fans of Game of Thrones and that anticipation of like what's going to happen in the realm and knowing that, knowing how we know how it ends out, it's like, like you don't get to talk about it much anymore. And it's more of saying goodbye to like the characters and the experience of what Game of Thrones was for all those years. It's harder to say goodbye to. But I'm really excited for what's ahead. And I think that as far as Game of Thrones is specifically, I'm so proud of our crew and of Funny or Die and of Aaron and myself and our writers that have just worked so hard to come together every year and really just leave our hearts and souls on the comedic dance floor. I'm just really so proud of the work that we've been able to do.
Do you think you want to leave it there, or would you want to recap like they're doing prequels?
Something else with them, for sure. Like if the prequel is lit, I am there. Like, we gotta see how it is. I mean, part of what made Game of Thrones so magic is that we had like such a wide array of stuff to talk about to make the episodes move. So I think you would need like some really amazing content. But I love Aaron and I love Matt Mazzani and Mark Rennie and Joan Ford and our whole team at Funny or Die is just incredible. So I would love to work with them anytime.
Well, I will cross my fingers for more great nicknames of characters like Evil No Volume Carol Brady. But anyway, Jonathan, thanks for sitting down with me. Congratulations on your Emmy nomination.
Thank you. Say bye.
Bye. Everyone watching at home, make sure you hit subscribe to Gold Derby. Keep informed of us during Emmy season. Thanks again, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Bye.